Hey guys, it's Leandra. I'm here to bring you guys my favorite books that I read in 2018. Now I know most people will bring out these videos a bit earlier in the year, and I'm sorry it's taking me a while to bring it out, but I am going to show you guys my favorite books that I read this year. There are exactly 10 favorite books that I read this year, or kind of 10 books. I am going to be counting down from 10 to 1. Yes, let's get right into it. So number 10 on this list is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sáenz. I am totally butchering that name and I'm really sorry. I know a lot of people love this book and I know a lot of people don't really like this book so much, but I personally really love this book. There isn't that much plot, and in all honesty, it actually did take me a while to get into this book, but once you're about halfway through, at least I think for me, it was like about at the halfway point when it really just truly hit me just how emotionally charged this book is. I don't know, it's just so deep and it's so poetic and there is just so much meaning to it and it is just so beautiful, and I just really enjoyed this book. I can't really put into words what this book is about so much because there isn't that much plot, but needless to say that two boys falling in love with each other has just never felt as beautiful on page as with this book. Number 9 on this list is Wicked Lovely, the first book in the Wicked Lovely series by Melissa Marr. I wasn't actually expecting myself to really enjoy this book that much because I bought this book a while ago, and when I reread the synopsis last year, it felt like a very typical YA book. It felt like it was going to contain a lot of cliches, and while I absolutely love YA books, I wanted to read something a bit more new. And so I didn't necessarily think that this book was going to contain a lot of sort of like new things, but I was very pleasantly surprised. This book turns a lot of stereotypes on its head, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I was thoroughly pleased with the way that this book went. I was thoroughly pleased with the plot of this book. Some of the world building is still a bit unclear to me, even though I've already read the second book, Ink Exchange, which sadly I didn't like as much as Wicked Lovely, but I really enjoyed Wicked Lovely, and I am really excited to also read the third book and the other books too. Number 8 on this list is not actually one particular book, but it is actually a collection of short stories, which is none other than the Shadows of the Ghost Market short story series. These short stories have been released over the course of the last year, I think. I'm not sure whether it started last year or the previous year, but they've been coming out in 1-month intervals. If I am not mistaken, I think there is still one short story or one novella that is still coming out that is part of the Ghost of the Shadow Market, but I'm not sure. Needless to say that I waited a while to get started with reading these books. I read the first one, I think, when it came out, and then I sort of waited until they all sort of accumulated, and then I read basically all of the already previously released Shadows of the Ghost Market series books in like 4 days or something. I very thoroughly enjoyed them. I loved how it gave us a perspective of Jem's life as the thing that he is. I'm not going to spoil, obviously, what happens because that is a spoiler for Clockwork Princess. I was very entertained, and I think that it set the tone for Queen of Air and Darkness very well. The 7th thing on this list is also not really a specific book, but it is again a full series, and that is the Georgina Kincaid, or Kincaid, I don't know how to pronounce it, this series, Succubus Blues, and all of the other books by Richelle Mead. This is actually the first series that Richelle Mead had ever written. My favorite series is Vampire Academy, so by definition Richelle Mead is my favorite author, and so I took it upon myself to finally read this series because I have been meaning to read all of her books and all of the books that she has released. I really liked this series. I really liked Georgina as a main character. I think that she was very sassy. I was very fascinated by the world building in terms of like the demons and the angels. I think the only complaint that I would have if I was comparing this series to some of Richelle's newer work is that I think that she maybe could have condensed the 6 books into maybe like 3 or 4, but otherwise it was an amazing series. I thought it was really entertaining. I loved the sass, I loved the steamy romance, I loved the world building, and so I was very pleasantly surprised reading this book. I think this is the sort of like term for this video, is like pleasantly surprised. I was very, very happy reading this series, and I read all 6 books in a span of like 2 weeks or something over the summer, so that was very, very fun. Number 6 on this list is the Bane Chronicles by Richelle Mead, which is also a collection of short stories written by Cassandra Clare, as well as Sarah Rees Brennan and Maureen Johnson. I really liked the Bane Chronicles. I know that there are some people who don't really like the Bane Chronicles very much, or who sort of think that it's not like Cassie's best work or something. I actually had previously read, I think like 3 or 4 stories of the Bane Chronicles, but last summer I was like, no, I'm going to sit down, I'm actually going to read through this book from beginning to end, and that's what I did in like 2 days or something, and I was just so entertained with this book. I think that all of the stories held great meaning. I think that they filled in the gaps of all of the Shadowhunter Chronicles books that we have already by Cassandra Clare, and it was just overall such perfection. It was amazing to see the life through Magnus Bane's eyes, and to see the sort of things that he's gone through, and to see the characters that we obviously know and love from both the TMI and the TID series. And so I just loved this book so much. It was so entertaining, and I actually have a review up on my channel of all of the Bane Chronicles short stories if you guys are interested. But yes, I love this book. Number 5 on this list is also a book that I don't have a physical copy of because I read it on my Kindle, and that is none other than To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I obviously read this book in anticipation for the release of the Netflix movie that came out last year, and I was not disappointed. It was such a fluffy, happy, contemporary book. Like, I can't even explain how happy this book made me. It was so cute. It had such great depth in terms of like family relationships, and although I'm not usually a huge fan of contemporary, it was super fun to read it, and I would highly recommend anyone to read this book, even if you've already seen the movie and you've enjoyed the movie. Then coming in at number 4, I have The Liar, the Witch, and the Wormhole by Geanna Culbertson. This series is a series that is not super well known yet, but it is an amazing series. This is the 4th book in the Crisanta Night series. I have reviews up for all books, I think, on my channel, as well as this one. Short synopsis: Crisanta Night is the daughter of Cinderella, who attends this boarding school for princesses and other kind of main characters of fairy tale stories, and she is there to be groomed into being a perfect princess, a damsel in distress who will then eventually rule her country and be just overall very stereotypically princessy. However, Crisanta is not having any of that. She is not your typical princess. She is super sassy, she is badass, she is fierce. She doesn't feel like she needs someone to save her because she wants to be a warrior herself. And this series is basically all about her self-discovery, about her also battling evil and figuring out certain schemes that people are up to, and it is just an overall really fun series. If you like fairy tale retellings, if you like strong female characters, if you like a series where you can actually really see the development of a main character, I would highly recommend for you guys to pick up the Crisanta Night series. If you haven't read the books yet, then pick them up because you won't regret it. Or at least I hope you won't. I mean, I can't like force people to like things, but I definitely like this book. And coming in at number 3 on this list is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I think I've done a lot of raving about this book up on my channel. I read this book earlier last year, I think that it was in January, and it was so intense. I love this book. I love the world building. I had never before read a book on like virtual reality and sort of similar concepts. I mean, I've read Otherworld by Jason Segel, but I kind of read those like relatively soon after each other. So the concept of like virtual reality and gaming is not very like something that I'm very well versed in. I am a gamer myself. I love video games. I play a lot of video games. I was just very overall so shocked by how much I liked this book. I didn't think that I was going to like this book as much as I did, but I did, and it was just super awesome. I also have a review up on my channel of the book, and if I am not mistaken, I also have a review of the movie that came out, so if you are interested in watching that, please check it out. And if you haven't read Ready Player One, oh my god, I would highly recommend it, especially if you are a gamer or enjoy video games in any way. Like, this is the book for you. And number 2 on this list is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, the final book in the Dark Artifices series. Oh wow, this book was such an epic finale for this particular trilogy. I know that it is not the finale of all Shadowhunter books, and it definitely sets the stage for the Wicked Powers, and I can't even go into so much detail about this book without spoiling anything. I have a review on my channel of Queen of Air and Darkness if you guys are interested in checking that out. This was such an intense emotional roller coaster. Anyone who has ever kind of been immersed into the Shadowhunter world or has read the Mortal Instruments or the Infernal Devices or the Dark Artifices knows just how intricate the series is, how the characters are all connected and the stories are all connected, and it just blows my mind how Cassie does this. But I absolutely loved this stunning ending to the Dark Artifices series, and it was very, very well ended. A lot of heartbreak, a lot of happy moments as well. So I'm very excited for the Wicked Powers, but this definitely was one of my favorite books of 2018, and it is also now one of my favorite books of all time. And my final book, my top book of 2018, my favorite book that I read in 2018, drum roll. If you haven't guessed it yet, if you've seen some of my reviews up on my channel, if you kind of have journeyed along with me through my reading year of 2018, you probably know what book it is, and it is none other than the 3rd book in PC Cast's latest series, and that is Windrider, which is the 3rd book in the Tales of a New World series by PC Cast. This book was fabulous. I love the world building in this series. I love the relationships in the series. I love pretty much almost all of PC Cast's work. I can't really say very much without spoiling things either, but I just love how PC Cast is able to connect sort of like the animal world and the human world together. This story is just so magical. There are so many great moments. I love the sort of themes that PC Cast explores in this book. I don't really know what else to say about this book. I actually do have a review of my channel for Windrider. I also have a review of my channel for the other 2 books, since this is the 3rd book in the series, Moon Chosen and Sun Warrior, if you guys are interested in checking that out. But needless to say, I absolutely love this book, and this book was definitely my favorite book that I read in 2018. So those were my favorite books of 2018, and I would be really interested in knowing what your favorite books of 2018 were. Please leave them down below, and maybe we might even have some books in common. Maybe you guys read Queen of Air and Darkness. I feel like a lot of people read Queen of Air and Darkness, but don't feel bad if you didn't read Queen of Air and Darkness. You still have time to catch up. It might take a while, but the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, and the Dark Artifices series are so worth it. Definitely a ride to behold. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this journey in rediscovering my favorite books of 2018. I hope that 2019 will hold just as awesome books. And considering the books that I've already read this year, the year is looking very promising. We will see next year. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I bring videos out every Wednesday, or mostly every Wednesday when I'm not busy studying for my exams, so I'm really sorry for that. But either way, I hope that you guys are having a great day, night, morning, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye!